Everyone, we're back with DXR plans with a breakdown of our performance at the Nexus event. We had 6 members attend this event: Callum, Kieran, Martin, Josh, Silk and Chris, with 2 members, Kieran and Martin, making the invitational from the Open in day 1, joining our invited players, Silk and Chris. In this video, we're just going to go through Callum and Silk's performance at both the Open with Callum and leading into the invitational with both Silk and Callum. So, Callum, do you want to run us through just the sort of operating of the invitation of the Open, the Nexus Open, and how you did on day 1?
Yeah, so I didn't have much of an expectation going into the Saturday. I had a free day, so I thought might as well. Because it was so early in the set, I wasn't really sure what to play. So I had my heart set kind of on Luke Data Vault, just because it was easy and I had all the cards anyway. And I was playing with it a little bit before the event, and I just found it really boring. So when we tested on Wednesday, Sam had brought along this Sabe Green, and I thought, okay, give this a go. That's way more interesting. And yeah, played 3 games with it that day, and then did nothing else but sort of decided, yeah, okay, that's the list to go for. So yeah, I chucked together this list on the Friday night, and just sort of went with it from there. I felt that it had quite a good matchup into what I expected to see, which was like lots of Jin, lots of Luke, and other sort of like semi-space aggressive or aggressive negotiation decks. And then no Jins turned up on the Saturday, and it was just big pilot leaders and a little bit of random things here and there. I think Obi Virgins Temple was one of the other big ones, and I felt that this had a good matchup into it as well.
Good. Did you want to have a look at your list just now, and we'll run through a couple of things, how your games went on day 1?
Yeah, so it was 5 rounds on Saturday, and the top 8 made it into day 2, which was the invitational side of things. So I played against Obi Virgin Temple to start the day. That was a 2-0 win. Then went into the Luke Data Vault, who was the guy that ended up finishing top seed. I lost to him 2-1. That was a really close game, except for the match where I opened the Season Fleet Admiral, and he had the air superiority. So I basically couldn't get a unit to stick until the 5 resource turn, because he was just able to answer everything that I put out, which wasn't ideal. I find that the Luke matchup is a little bit 50-50 of who has initiative and who has removal. Because if you can beguile at the right time, it's hard for them to come back, and like things like Commandeer in the sideboard can help a lot there. Round 3 was a Boba Lake Country. I wasn't really expecting Boba going into the day, so I have 0 upgrade removal. So the Boba Pilot, Top of the Summit, and Sun Ferocity are quite difficult for this deck to come back from, because if you don't see them before they draw them, Sabe can't really answer them, and a Topple will normally be a board wipe if they can get it off. Managed to squeeze out a win in that one. 2-1 again, but yeah, definitely got quite lucky in that matchup to win. Round 4 was against our friend Matt on Towson Red. We've played, one of the 3 games I played on Wednesday was against Matt, and he absolutely spanked me, so I wasn't very confident going in. But basically I saw everything I needed to, and I also saw all of his removal when I looked at the top of his deck and was able to discard it all in both games. So I just, lucked into that one. And then I think at that point I was locked into top 8, which was nice, because there was no draws, no IDs, no going to time. So a chunk of 3 and 2s were going to make it. And that put me on table 2. So no matter the result of game 5, I was in. But played another Boba, but this one was Boba Blue. Played that on stream, and yeah, that was really good, fun games. We both, we'll say, had a few misplays that were quite egregious, but yeah, ended up going in my favour in the end. But yeah, standout card of the day for me was Tandem Assault. No one expects
So
Tandem Assault.
I don't think I've ever even read this card. Run
Yeah,
through
so
why you decided to play this.
you attack with a space unit, and then if you do attack with a ground unit, it gets +2. My thinking with that was that there's not many pumps left that aren't aggressive negotiation. So you had Punch It and you have Tandem Assault, which were the two that I was looking at. They both give +2, but with Tandem Assault, you get the action compression as well. So what you're looking for on the Sabe flip turn is a 4-drop and a 1-drop. If they have a Sentinel, you play BD1 to give her Saboteur and +1. And if they don't have a Sentinel, you play Tandem Assault to swing with the space unit, because all of the early drops are space units, and then swing with Sabe for 6. That then compresses the actions normally enough, so you swing with the Sabe with Tandem Assault, discard a card from hand. You can then claim initiative and then do it again the following turn, just to get the next card out of their hand before they can play another Sentinel. Unveiled Might works really good on the flip turn, because again, 4-1, or I chucked in the Rebel Blockade Runner again on the Friday night as a purely vibes-based inclusion, and that worked really well. It was between that and the Blue Ace, the 4/5 with Ambush. Same cost, same stats, but I favoured the Saboteur over the Ambush, just because getting that damage on base is quite important for Sabe.
In that 4/5 that line into that Boba match on stream, I think basically won you the game in space, because the Fire Spray couldn't trade, and it just meant that you could either make the decision to trade and stay alive, or just keep going to base. And I think these kind of 4/5 units,
it was
to win that game basically, I think.
Yeah, Hauler again is just a very good card. A lot of stats for not a lot of resources, and you've got things like Beguile to bring it back to you. I wasn't sure on the Blade Wing going in. It was a lot of resources for not a lot of stats. I think I played it once all day, and that was to bounce my own Light Maker that someone had condemned, because again, there's no upgrade removal in the deck, so condemn hurts this deck a lot.
And a couple of new cards in your deck from the new set. You're on, is that Rose?
Yeah, so that there's 3 Jin, 2 Rose, and 2 of the new Falcon. Jin was good. She's either a 3/3 on turn 1, or she exhausts a unit, and that tempo can normally be quite good. Rose is quite a nice one, because she's normally a 5-cost enters play ready, because again, all of the early space plays are non-unique. So like the Sheath Peds and all the other 2 drops are non-unique. I didn't actually get to play her at all on the Saturday, but she was always there as a threat in case I needed to. And the new Falcon that gives -2 to a spaceship and +2 to a ground unit was also quite good. For one, 5 health is hard to get rid of, and the +2 often goes on to Sabe when she deploys, and again, it's just more damage to base, which is never a bad thing. Yeah.
And then looking at your sideboards, it looks pretty targeted to certain matchups. With the Lieutenant Gorn for credit generation decks, how did you find?
The sideboard was a little clunky, because I didn't really know what to expect. I put in the jam comms for aggressive negotiations and condemn. That worked quite well for me throughout the day, because normally you've got a lot of 2 drops and a lot of 3 drops. So on the 4 resource turn, you can normally squeeze in a 1 and a 3, and just being able to snipe something that answers your flip turn, like an aggressive negotiations or something like that, is quite nice. Or a condemn for the Sabe leader. Charged with corruption, I couldn't trigger all day. I tried it. I brought it in for like Chewy pilots and stuff like that, and I never had enough green in hand to trigger it. Gorn I brought in again for credit hate. That was mostly for Landos because I assumed there would be a few. I don't think there was anyone other than Kieran. There might have been 2 in the room, I'm not sure. So I didn't play him all day. Outside of that, he's a 3-cost 4/4, so he's not the worst card to put in if you want it. And then yeah, Commandeer is good in principle if your pilot opponent is curving out with a 5-drop before they deploy. Normally you can take that, kill their 4-drop as well, and then bounce it to hand, so they're going into their 6 flip without a ship. But it's also another answer for the hauler. If you hauler on 3, they kill it and take it back on 4, you can then commandeer it on 5, still hit them in the face with it, and then bounce it back to your hand.
This card's getting a lot of traction.
Yeah.
Like a lot of decks are running this card now. I think it's one of the only kind of removals for big ships in this, like those kind of 5-6 resource turns.
Yeah. And the fact that it comes to you
ready
ready is big as well.
Yeah.
And then Kelleran was just there as if I'm in a grindy go late matchup like Towson. Towson's not the best one to play into, but yeah, Kelleran's just a big unit to put down and put 2 bodies on the board. It was between that and Queen Amidala, but I decided to go for Kelleran.
Good. And then your D2, how did that go?
Really badly. But I was just happy to be there. I didn't expect to make the Invitational and to just play in an event with such a high concentration of really good players. Really was a nice feeling. Round 1, I paired into Betten straight away. So that was a scary moment. I managed to take a game off him, so I'm very happy. His Beckett list it's one of those where you kind of know what it's going to do going in, but you don't really know how it's going to do it. And yeah, so game 1, I managed to keep him off the aggressive negotiations and get him to... I think in the end it ended up with him on 18 health, but he healed for 7. He got 2 Honor attacks and a Lost and Forgotten that just put me out of range of getting him there. Game 2 is the one I got off him. On the 4 resource turn, he gave me a hauler to go into the flip turn to then kill it and get the credits. But I had a Chewie in hand, so I thought, I know he runs upgrade removal, so it was if you've got it, you've got it. I'm going to lose anyway. So I put Chewie in the hauler, and then that blanked his Beckett flip from killing it. And then he had no answer for it. I ended up hitting him for 14 with his own hauler with a Chewie in it, and he just couldn't come back from that. And then, yeah, game 3 was another one where I made a slight misplay on the flip turn. He gave me a ready Val. If I'd have deployed with Sabe then, I could have swung to base before he was able to get the credit that he needed to play Finn to snipe my Sabe, and I would have been able to take that out of his hand if I had done so. But I attacked with the Val to get the 2 damage to base before he flipped, which then meant he had the credit into my flip and just
Pretty unforgiving, isn't it, when you play the world champion?
Yeah, exactly. But because he said to me after the match, he had to do it that way because he didn't have a 5-cost play. He didn't have a Frosty or anything like that to fill that curve. Yeah. So he had to get the credit. So he had to give me the Vel. But yeah, if I'd have flipped Sabe before swinging, we would have at least had Sabe live for a turn. But yeah, he I think he had that game fairly comfortably anyway. And then, yeah, round 2 was a Maul Blue Force, which is just as bad as Towson. And yeah, I got absolutely demolished. One of the games, I opened Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. He had Drain Essence. I then play a Hauler. He then no disintegrations me, and that's game. But no, I had a very enjoyable weekend. The prizing from the Saturday was way better than I ever expected. So big shout out to the Nexus guys. The event ran seamlessly all weekend, and yeah, I came away with more than my money's worth in prizing just for being there.
Good, congrats, man. I feel like it's a massive achievement to make K2 in that, especially the deck you've not played before. And I think you've kind of made an impact with that deck. I've seen quite a lot of people pick up the deck and playing something that I'd never really thought about Savvy Dateball before. I'm not sure how Silk feels, but yeah, congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man, you smashed it. You should be really proud.
Well, yeah.
Proud of you.
Speaking of smashing it, I suppose we shall look at your list, Silk.
Yeah, so tell us about how so Silk was, because of an invitational, we were lucky enough to be some of our players invited to get to skip the open part and be invited to the day 2 part of Nexus event, where we got to play against the best players. And we had, as we said, Silk and Chris, and I know Silk can be looking at Lando in all different colours and all different bases as soon as you went out. So do you want to run through why you chose Lando, Silk, before the event?
Yeah, so Lando happens to be one of my favourite characters. I've played him every time he's come out. If there's been a Lando leader, I've tried him. He was announced. I liked his effect, so I started it with green. Then I went to pure yellow. And then I went to blue yellow. And then on Wednesday, we do our team testing. And I tried the yellow heroism version, and there was just something missing. So I tried the blue version, and I couldn't quite get it to work against space. I only had a few games that night, but I saw the issue instantly was space, and I obviously then built this list to completely combat space, and it worked because I played against a lot of space on day 2. So yeah, I was really excited to be invited. I thought I'm going to play Lando. It's a good time to test decks that I didn't know about, that I'm not worried about, trying to get points or anything like that. So I jumped on round 1, played one of the 2 Moons guys. It was Jessie. She's awesome. She played the Jin that didn't turn up on day 1. It was my first round. I didn't get to test into Jin, but we know what Jin's doing. It's drawing a lot of cards, generating that attrition, and then just hitting you in the face as hard as it can. The good thing about the Lando list is it's got a lot of Sentinels, and a lot of able to deal with a lot of cancelling out units, stopping them being able to do their thing. The Jin unit herself only has 6 health, and by the time you're at 5 resources, you have usually got 5 resources plus 2 credits. So it means I can drop a Finn, kill Jin. It means I can stop any swing coming to my base with a Sentinel. So I found the deck really useful for that. Game 1 and 2 was her partner, Edoism, I think is how you pronounce his name. He was playing Lando as well, so she knew her way around the deck. However, he wasn't playing the Mandalorian in his, so I took some of the key cards from the yellow version and put them in the blue version. But I went to 52 cards, so it meant that the math actually meant that the 5 off aspect cards of blue actually decreased it to 8% rather than 10%. And I felt that was a little bit better, and it gave me a good reason to play 52. So the Mando really, really took her on her edge. She didn't expect that. It kills a unit, captures another unit, and I just dealt with the board and cleaned up there. Game 2 was, again, the co-captain Martin, which was a shame. We played each other, but the night before I'd actually stayed at his house and helped him rebuild the Obi deck. So I knew every card that was in it. I knew what he was trying to do, and he didn't actually get to test against the Lando blue deck. So it was quite one-sided for that, but obviously he's a great player. He was just unlucky that we built the deck together. Round 3, I went up against the absolute legend Thomas Rose. He is literally like my boogeyman in SWU. Every time I played him, he's got the direct counter to my deck. It's beyond unlucky at this point. And he was playing Vel, and his whole deck was about giving me a credit and killing the credit. So he didn't even need to give me a credit most of the time. He just killed my credits. The only openers I started off with on both games were a 1-drop. So I thought, well, if he's got it, he's got it. So 1-drop and a credit. Turn 2, he plays is it Arvel Skeen or whatever it is? Arvel Skeen. Kills the credit, gets rid of my 1-drop. It's like, oh, brilliant. So every game he just controlled completely. And I was hoping that I would see one of my, I think I played 12 Sentinels in my list or something like that. It's pretty close to 12 Sentinels. And I didn't see a single one in both games. So I played 3 Bodies or 2 Bodies. I played Two-Faced Frog. I play Lando and I play Zeb. And I saw 0. So I managed to stabilize, but because I didn't have a Sentinel, I was already at like 18 damage at that point. It was like aggressive negotiations. And that was the same in both games. Like I managed to stabilize, clear the board, deal with everything, but I had no Sentinel. So I lost that game. Then we had lunch. That was a good time. I then went into round 4 and I ended up playing the Nordic takedown guys. I think his name is either Steve or Alex. They called out one of the 2 names and then I turned up and he was like, I'm actually this name. And I think they got it wrong. So, but he was playing Luke Datavolt and that was no, it wasn't Luke Datavolt. It was just Luke Green. But still, Luke in space is what I was more worried about with Lando, and I'd been teching the deck exactly for that. I have 3 hypers in main. I have the tree remembers, Lost and Forgotten, and Rhodonian detonation. So he just could not keep a unit on board. I started off with Owen Lars in game 1. Every time he dealt damage to me, heal 2, then kill a unit, heal 2, kill a unit, or kill a unit, then heal. And I think I ended the game with like 4 damage on base. Game 2, he did a lot better. He got a lot faster. And we got to the end and I kind of stabilized. He had 1 ship left. I milled his deck instead of mine because I was thinking he has claimed. So if he hasn't got the answer in his hand, he's going to try for it on the top deck. So I milled his deck, said aggression, milled a trench run. And I was like, well, that's good. Because it means he's probably, I've got rid of one of them. And he just went claim French run. And obviously my deck has quite a wide gap in numbers. I've got a lot of 9s and things like that. But he milled like a tree remembers and a 3 cost. So he killed me in that instance. And then game 3, again, back to the same style as game 1. I got Yadu on turn 1. Turn 2, I played Owen and something else, and I just started healing. So I was healing more damage than he could do, and every time he got something on a unit, killed it. Wait till he got to Luke, I hyperspace disastered. It was very hard for him to come back. I had a really good game with him. He's a really nice guy though. Round 5, I went into Team Nexus's Arta, and he's a great guy. He was playing Vader Yellow. I think that matchup's easier than Luke because his units are so small. So they're only doing 2 damage a turn or 3, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then I'm healing 3 or 4 a turn. And he couldn't outpace me. And then I waited for him to deploy Vader Hyperspace Disaster because he doesn't have that Cinta. And then the turn after he rebuilt Hyperspace Disaster. I played... In a total of 2 games, I played 4 Hyperspace Disasters. I saw 4. I played them. It was unfortunate for him, but there was no way he was. I wanted to use Libertine, but there was no need because I drew the Hyperspaces and I had ground units hitting. I think at one point I used Hyperspace Disaster and got a +6 on my Lando leader with bow out on the board, and it was like, that's hitting for 10. Then it's this game. Then we go into the round where I got my final loss, and that was against Betten. I believe that's round 6. Yeah, it was round 6. So it's top 6 because there was 10 players that could have made money. They did a top 6 of the only people that could be in top 6, and then the last 4 players sort of played out for the last 2 slots. I went up against Betten in my semi-fight, in my whatever it was, round 6. Game 1, I had 15 damage on base. I was in a really good position. Dave Hoyland was behind me, and he was like, I think you're going to... And then literally aggressive negotiations for 12. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I lose that one. Game 2, I made a lot of little mistakes, but they were They were so annoyingly little mistakes that I kept doing them again. Like simple things like attacking with Liberty, choosing a unit with nimble prowess on it, resting it, and forgetting 3 times in a row that the nimble prowess goes back to his hand. So then he just instantly played it back on a ground unit to rest my Lando. And I was like, how did I forget that 3 times in a row? But it is what it is. I made the mistakes, but I won game 2 because the Liberty couldn't deal with the Liberty in space. Game 3 was where I thought we could do this. It was pretty even. I was controlling the board. He was not. He bricked on his. He didn't have a turn 1 play, but he had everything else 4 onwards, and that's why he kept his hand. He didn't have a turn 1 play. I created a credit, but straight away he played Arvel. He started dealing with my credits, which was annoying, but I got rid of his Arvel. And then on the 4 resource turn, I created a credit. He didn't get rid of it instantly. I only had for 5 resource turns in my hand 6 and above. I was like, well, I'll just play, Finn, and it just kills a unit, does this, does that, and then he straight away played another Arvel, and it killed my credit, and I just sat there like I can't play anything. So then I created another credit, and then he played Rio, and bounced the Arvel, played it back with a shield, and killed my last credit again. Nice. And I was like, cool. I was literally like, yeah, this game's over. And, I was a bit gutted because I bricked that on that 5 resource turn. I wanted to give him a proper game, but it is what it is. We did well. I was happy to even get that far in a room full of Titans, especially with a deck that I hadn't had a full chance to test. But yeah, we did well. We're getting there. We're putting our name on the maps.
And I think the big thing with Lando, I think, is that I felt like watching the stream and hearing people talk about it, people were quite surprised that people were playing. Like, almost all of it, like Chris, you, Kieran, and we're all on Lando. And then the 2 Moons people independently were also, like, one of them were also on Lando. But I think people were quite surprised that we, rated that deck. And I think we still do that deck. It's getting harder with the credit hate being so prevalent now. I didn't really expect there to be as much as there was on the first event. And that might be due to Beckett itself making credits, and I think that might be a problem going forward. But I think it was a big thing that I was quite surprised at how people didn't. I was surprised that people were surprised that we were rating it high.
Yeah, I think it's been definitely one of my favorite decks to play. There's so many cool little interactions you can do. Like if you know your opponent's deck, you can call their deck. If you're not even worried about creating credits, you're just milling the top card of their deck. That's really strong. Like you can get rid of some really big answers there. I think the credit hate can be addressed. I don't know how yet. Galen worked for me quite well, and a lot of the time, because my list works slightly different to what we had before, I was able to kill a lot of the credit hate. So like I said, against Vel, the credit hate wasn't the biggest issue. I was able to kill the credit hate every time, and I was still in a really good position. But I had to have been able to do both, like remove the credit hate and play a Sentinel. The fact that I couldn't play a Sentinel lost me the game. And I think Lando's in a really good position. We're going to do work, with ourselves and try and work out how we sort out the credit hate. But yeah, I think it's a good deck.
Do you feel like it's going to be one of those where when Lando's good, all the credit hate comes in and Lando's not good? So when Lando goes away, credit hate goes away and Lando's good again. It'll be that sort of cycle? Or
I'm not sure if the credit hate's for Lando though, or if it's for Beckett, or whatever. I think the people weren't expecting Lando that much, and they still had credit hate anyway. I think it's interesting. I think talking about other decks that were at the Nexus, I think we probably expected Eton to do well, and we kind of all knew he was going to play Beckett. I think it's a very hard deck to play. It's got a very high floor and a very high ceiling. So I think that will see more play going forward, but I think almost everyone else, I think Eton's unique in terms of being able to play it so well.
I was testing the deck myself. I was building Tobias. I really, really liked it, but I got the Lando showcase, so I was definitely playing Lando.
Other big surprise, Vel and Chewie. I know me and Mark.
Chewie
as well.
definitely a big surprise.
Yeah.
Like Vel, I didn't think was as much of a surprise because of my pre-release weekend, and like you said, it's the same as well, didn't you, Ali? Like I got it twice in pre-release, and seeing how strong it was in pre-release, I was like, well, now there's no way of removing leaders. This deck is strong.
Yeah, and just that being able to, I don't know if it's because people are playing more sealed and more, but it's became or the units have more health now. I think there's much more value in trading, because probably because of the negotiations as well, putting so much damage at the end, and I think Bell does that better than anyone else because all the units are buffed. Dewey, we played it a bit, I think, in testing. Thought it was okay. I didn't give it much respect at all. So well done, Red River, for getting there with that. That was.
I believe Buku was on it as well. So it's another one where two completely different entities have converged on a similar thing.
And then made our guy completely over our heads. I think we were all ready to look, but looking at the list, well done to Alec and who else was in? Was it one of the Nexus boys? Did we say when top 8?
Yeah, Arta was on it as well.
Yeah, I think the 2/2 shield just really benefited that in terms of being able to a guaranteed unit that's going to make tokens every turn. So,
and I saw at one point, I think it was Arta, but I saw someone deploy a Vader onto a clone combat squadron, plot out 2 snub fighters, and then swing for 13, and it was just gross.
Yeah, pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, it was a great event. The Nexus guys did really, really well. Well done to them. I hope we get more events like this in the future.
I think it's really good for the UK and for Europe as a whole to have these events. I know they have this quite a lot in America, and it shapes quite a lot of the future of the format because people look at these players like Bethon and Silk and see what they're playing and then develop these lists. That's what happened with Anakin Data Vault last set and a big American event. So hopefully this European event might shape up the meta for the next couple of weeks and see how it goes. So I'm looking forward to more of them. Hopefully attend the next one.
Definitely. You will. I just want to shout out DSP. We're doing it. We're trying. Everyone's killing it, and I want to shout out every team that was there. The 2 Moons guys are lovely. They're like such great members of the community. The Nordic Takedown were there as well. Amazing guys. There was so many people there. Bother Network, everyone's great. The UK, the community in the UK is so good. And obviously, massive congrats to Betten. He smashed it. He's a force to be reckoned with. He's a player to be. If he's not the number 1 player in the world, just because he won it, he probably is the number 1 player in the world, and that's pretty crazy.
Good, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you, Callum, at more day 2s, and
that is the hope. Certainly enjoying the Sabe, so we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, that's me being relegated now to the producer, and you're now going to go and win all the events.
Well, I mean, hopefully, yeah.
That's it.
Good. So that's us checking out DSP.
Check out the Discord.
Hey.